Hey, it's Jake from TradeLab.ai. In this video, we're going to go over how to set up the TraderIQ strategy. This strategy is a great example of how to set up multiple confirmations in TradeLab. And we're going to take a look at how the strategy works, and then we're going to walk through how to build it with our rules. So I'm going to let Talon take over and tell us how the strategy works.
Okay. So I adding a couple things to it. It's one from a video a couple days ago that I watched today. So basically the gist of it is you have the whole suite, and when the LSMA crosses up, it's still red. And the LSMA crossing up, you want to enter a trade on the candle, like a candle that closes above. And then you want to put the stop loss at the last swing low and do 4 times the risk. So what I added to it was this way high and low indicator, hoping that we could use TradeLab to set the stop loss here and then find a way to take profit 4 times the risk. So it's going to be a challenge. So I added a couple things. I also think that using Market Cypher's money flow is going to be pretty beneficial here, because once like the win rate wasn't great in this Trade IQ video itself, but if you add this and you have money flow going up, like moving up, it seems to be a really good confirmation that when it crosses, like want the cross to be, well, it's still red, you would cross above, and then you want to risk or do like a 1 to 4 trade. So like the cross is here, something we found here. We're gonna have to do that.
So when you talked about the money flow there, do you just want the money flow to go up? Or
Yeah,
here,
this is a confirmation of the past, whereas like go up a certain percentage of a certain amount of bars. Like when I look at it, like I know what I want, but it's a matter of like finding the actual like true rule for like numbers to put in for the comp.
Sure. So the question though is, in this particular example, the money flow is already crossed. By the time you hit your thing, the money flow had just crossed. Is that something that you want the money flow to have crashed, or you just want it heading up?
I want it moving up. See how like you can. So this is the candle right here that we'd want to enter, because there was the cross of the LSMA and it crossed while it was still red. So you want to enter on the candle close right here. You want the stop loss right here, and then 4 times the risk. And this one would have worked out.
So when we're comparing this though, are you simply saying that you want the money flow from the last bar to be lower than the money flow from the next bar?
Yeah.
How much? Like what are you looking for there?
I'm not sure. Let's see. I've used the confirmation before. So basically, let's see what the
Okay, it's just a setting in here. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so
the free hub,
moving
the white flow.
I see.
So
1 and 2 bar. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. And then and then we'll say that that's moving up. And then if you do a moving down, it can cancel that. Okay, that's perfect.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
perfect. Okay, and then what about so you want to enter when you those lines cross. What are those lines? Explain those lines again.
This is the whole suite. I changed it in here, like the strategy on TradeIQ says, instead of showing it as a band, turn that off so it's thinner. I don't know that that really matters. But so while the band is still red, if the LSMA crosses up while it's red, you want the next candle, as long as the coin, like this, we're on Bitcoin right now. If Bitcoin closes the candle above both when it crosses up, then you're good to go in a long as long as money flow is going up. That's my thing that I added. And then if you want to do a short, if the LSMA crosses down while it's still green, then you're good to do a short when the candle closes, as long as the candle closes below both lines. So I don't know if it'd be easier to like type it out or write it down, but uh, it's after the cross, a candle above, and wanted the cross while it was red. So I think another like confirmation or rule or I don't know how TradeLab works. Like, can I get
It sounds like you have a two-step confirmation where you want to know how something crossed and what a state it was in, and then that determines how your next confirmation works.
Yeah. So like if there was a confirmation where the whole suite looks at it every minute to know whether it's red or whether it's green, if that's always going, then we'd be good.
Well, isn't there a whole suite for chain? You can just send us the change and we can save. We'll save it and we'll know it. So you don't have to send us that many alerts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We can save it with our variables, right? And so to what I said about doing the secondary confirmation, we can do that. We can totally do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So in the past, that's the way I've had to do it with this other bot I was using. Like you had to, but you could do a time to live too when it turned red or green, but you don't know when it's going to change back. So
Right.
I would do like a once a minute confirmation. Just so it's always in the
Right. So we can do time to live confirmations. We can also do on off confirmations. And we can just have something be tracked. Not only that, but we do have like our sleep feature and some other stuff. And I'm very particular about how the rules run. And so for instance, when you're asleep, your rules will still run. So if you are looking at your variables and tracking those things, we'll keep those. Sorry, if you're looking at your alerts and sending them to variables so that you're tracking your confirmations, is what I mean. We'll keep running those, right? Even if you're asleep or something like that. Now, if you turn it completely inactive, there's a difference between sleep and inactive. There's a whole video on that. But if you could turn it completely off, it doesn't do anything. Right, but if it's asleep just means that it won't, like, run any trades. It won't actually place a trade, but it will still keep all of your, variables updated, so that way when it turns back on, you have all the correct status that is synced to the chart, right? So, that's what we're looking for. So yeah, I mean, in general, this is gonna be fine. Basically I will say that I'm still a tiny bit fuzzy with how, what the exact rules are, but what we need to do first, we don't really need to worry about the rules, or how we basically, we need to set up. So to start out, we need to set up alerts, and these alerts need to do on and off for each of these and tell us what the state is for each of these. I don't see anything in here that really needs to be time to live. But if we want to do that, we can. But in general, on off is usually more accurate. We can track the state of them and go from there. So we want to create our alerts, and then we want to create our variables, and then we'll create our rules that link the variables to the alerts and track the status of everything. All of
Okay.
that is just basics for creating the multiple confirmation, right? So we're just gathering all the data so that we have the data. Then when it comes to the actual multiple confirmation, it's going to be a pretty simple 1 or 2 rules that you and I can go through and decide at the end and make sure that we get the logic right. So the first step is gathering all of the data. So let's do that. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my strategies, and then I'm going to hit the plus button. This is going to create a new strategy and open up the builder. So I'm going to name my strategy the TraderIQ 1 minute scalping. So that's the other thing I was going to ask is what is the time frame on this? And of course, it's super fast.
Yeah, well, that's why it was kind of interesting to me to set up. But
Right. Well, that's fine. It just means that we have to be particular about our alerts and try not to send too many alerts that sends like every minute. Um, Otherwise, it's going to be a strategy that not everybody can use because it's just going to, bleed alerts and they'll have to end up, paying for a higher subscription, right? They have to use it. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. So anyway, I have the strategy builder up. I'm going to call this TraderIQ 1 minute scalping. And then normally I would, select my exchange, right? And then select my symbol. I'm going to do BTC USDT. Okay. And then of course, you can do this before or after, but you would want to set up your trade amount. You would want to set up, your other settings like order type and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and start setting up our alert. So the first thing we want to do is create an alert that is going to be for our whole suite green and red. Okay. So we're going to need 2 alerts for this. So we're going to need a whole green. I'll name it whole suite green. How about that? And actually, so pro tip, I'm going to create a new template for this, I think. So I'm going to call this the Trader IQ Scalper. And I'm going to hit the plus button. And that's going to create me a new alert template, which is going to clear out the fields and give me new ones down here. Okay, and it takes it from the alert name. So I'm just going to put back what I have in here, which was whole fleet green. Right. So that's what I'm going to have there. And for the instructions, I'm going to do, I'll type those here in a little bit, actually. So the instructions, condition, and options is really just to match this right here in TradingView when we go over to this right here. So conditions, options, and then sometimes there's, well, that's it, actually. Yeah. So we have conditions and options. And then, of course, we give you the webhook and the alert name and the message when you go to setup. Right. So we give you one additional field for instructions so that can type that in and figure all that out. So let's go ahead and start setting up the whole suite green alert. So the first thing we need to do is name it, and we're going to skip these for now. We're going to go into the fields down here, and we'll see type, symbol, and interval. For interval, that's going to be optional. For this one, we'll go ahead and set up an interval. We'll do that with a strategy variable. And we'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. I'll come back to this. For the type and the symbol, that's about all we really need. We're just going to turn these on and off. So our type is going to change. So for this, it'll be whole green, right? And we can name this whatever we want. I used an underscore there. I could just as simply do whole green with a space. In fact, I'll do that, right? I'll do whole green with a space with type, and that's what we have there. Okay. And so we'll hit save for this one, and we have whole green suite, or whole suite green, sorry. So with our whole suite green alert, we'll create another one for whole suite red, and we'll make this whole suite red. right? We'll hit save. And before we get too far, let's go ahead and create that interval. So if we go over to the variables, we'll create a interval. We'll name this interval or time frame. Time frame is usually better for people, so I'll say time frame, and we'll hook that up to the interval in the alert. Okay, for this one, I'll just say 1 minute. And we really shouldn't be running this on different time frames, I would assume, but this is a good example of how we can set up an option. So time frame is going to be an option that you can set up in the strategy setup. And we'll do that by hitting the edit button right here, and then hit the edit button on this line and select read only and show in setup. I'll show you how this wraps up here in a little bit, but as we go through this, you'll see that we're going to basically create an option. So as people set this up for themselves, they can specify a time frame, and that will link back into our alert so that anytime we send alerts and we have two of these running on different time frames for the same symbol, they won't run into each other. Right. And so you can actually create multiple, sort of labels like this, right? So one is time frame, and this will keep it from colliding. If we needed another one, we could make it label or something or name, right? And we could have multiple like it here. So when they go into the strategy setup, it will ask them for the time frame right here. So this is going to link back up to the alert. So if we go into the alert and we hit the alert right here, edit, and we'll select time frame for the strategy variable. Okay, so our interval is dynamic, strategy variable, time frame. And now we can see our 1 minute inside of our alert. Okay, and so what this basically does is this helps you automatically set up your alerts with something inside of it, like a time frame, I guess. So if they come into the strategy setup and they hit do it now, if they change this to say 15 minutes and hit continue, when they set up their alert instructions, the interval will be different, right? This is just a flow that lets you, as a strategy creator, set up your own settings, right, for other people to easily set up. Okay, so I'm going to set this back to 1 minute, and we're going to continue. Okay, so I have my whole suite green and whole suite red. Let's go ahead and go to the alert, and we're going to set this up as our message, right? So we go into our alert message and create our alert. We're going to set this as our message in TradingView. So if we go to conditional and whole suite, this one needs to be trending down, I think. Or
Trending up would be green.
yeah, trending. Okay, yeah. So we want to do trending up for green, and then we want to do once per bar close, and we want to send this as this message, and we'll give it the whole suite green as the name. Of course, we want to go back to TradeLab and make sure that we copy our webhook. Very important. I just created a new alert template right here. And so whenever you do that, it gives you a new webhook. So you might be used to this always being the same in here, but sometimes it's going to change, right? Because if you do come in here and create a new alert template to keep things separate and nice and neat, you will get a different webhook. So we're going to set this up for whole suite. We are going to use the same webhook and the same template for all of the alerts. You don't have to create a new template for every alert, right? So this is the whole suite green. We got whole green in there. Looks like we're ready to go with that. Okay, let's do our red. We go back and go to whole suite red. Okay, we can copy this as well, paste this in, do whole suite, trending down, and make sure that we have our webhook. That is the right webhook. Always a good idea.
And do what per bar close?
Yes, and once per bar close as well. right? And so now that we know that, we can come into here and we could say once per bar close for our options, right? And our condition would be whole sweep. What was that? Whole trending down, right? And then for your instructions, you could say like create a new trading view alert for whole sweep, right? So copy that and let's save this. And then we could put this in here and we could say whole sweep, whole trending up. And this could be once per var close. So now we're good. All right. So to do this all together here, so what I've done is I've created my 2 alerts and then I just set them up in TradingView. So this is the whole suite red. Okay, and we'll do that. So now we have whole suite green and whole suite red. Okay, and so we set those up in TradeLab, we set those up in TradingView, and now let's show you how to make a rule that connects those. Okay, actually, wait.
You're going to set all the confirmations first.
So what I'm trying to do is go through one just together, all of the parts, and then I'll do the rest of them all together as one part, then go through, each part, in batches, right? But here I'm trying to do it all together because it'll be nice for the video. So I actually made a mistake. So let me back up here. So now we've set up our alerts in TradeLab and we copied those over to TradingView and we have alerts set up in TradingView now. So the next step is to create variables. So what we're doing here is we're tracking one variable, which is the whole suite, if it's green or if it's red. We only need one variable to track. We need 2 alerts to track this one variable because we got to turn it on and off, right? So if we go over to our variables over here, we can create another variable. This one's going to be a true false, right? We're going to turn it on and off. And this one's going to be called green. Okay, so this is going to be true if it's green, and if it's going to be false if it's red. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our rules. So we have our alert set up, we have our variable set up. Now let's set up a rule to connect the two. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do. All we have to do is drag this icon, and we're going to create 2 different rules, one for each of our alerts. One to turn it on, one to turn it off. So we're going to drag this. This is going to turn it on. And we're going to drag this again. And you can see that this pops up and we have create entry rule and create exit rule. We want to drag this over to the create entry rule side. And that's going to make us a blue rule. So here, since we came into our alert and we set up our alert fields, it is automatically creating a rule with conditions that match what we put in. Okay. We might want to edit this just a little bit to make it more automatic. However, this is a great way to, quickly set up alerts. Okay. So you'll notice that we don't have any actions. We'll have to set up the actions. But let's talk about these conditions real quick. So it automatically set up our type as whole green. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. It set up our symbol as BTC USD. Now that is what I have selected here, and that would be great. However, if I copied this and made this for 10 different symbols, I would have to come in here and change this on every rule. And that would be annoying. So instead, we're going to change this to strategy, and we're going to select symbol. And anytime you select strategy right here, that's selecting the trade settings right here. So this symbol is actually the symbol dropdown right here. And so we just had BTC typed in here, and it just so happens that BTC is right here, BTC USDT. So it's the same thing. We're doing the exact same thing as we just had, but now if we change this, we don't have to change it on each of the rules. If we just do this and I say strategy, symbol, now we're good to go, right? And we don't have to change it. Same thing with interval. So interval, if I type this in as a different time frame, it we need to make sure that it's dynamic, and so we would select this, go to strategy variables right here, and we would select time frame. And so now time frame and interval are compared to each other. And since we're using time frame as the source for the alert, we know that it should always match. If you can imagine there, as I showed a minute ago, when we go into here, we type in our time frame, and that sets our variable, and it also bakes into our alert. And so now what we're doing is we're comparing our alert to our variable, and so we know that they should be the same, right? As long as this alert is made for this strategy. If I set up another strategy that has, a different time frame, then it won't, and it'll fail, and it should fail because it's not for that. That alert wouldn't be for that strategy, right? So that's how you can filter. That's a pretty good basic lesson. All right, so we have two different alerts here, and this isn't doing any confirmations yet. All we're doing is collecting a piece of information, our variable, our whole green. So our actual piece of information is this variable right here. And if we turn this on, we can see it says true, and if we turn it off, we can see it says false. It's blank when it first gets added. It's fine. It's the same as false. So whole green is the piece of information that we're adding. Okay, and we're tracking this as okay. And we have two alerts that are tracking this and turning them on and off, right? So if the green is going to turn that on, the red is going to turn it off. And the way it does that is by listening to our rules. And this rule listens for a green alert, and we're going to turn that on. So we're going to hit add action. We're going to click here, and we're going to set our strategy variables whole green, and we're going to turn this to true. Okay, so we'll do this again for our red. So it's listening for whole red, and it's filtering by symbol and interval like it should. And if we hear that and everything's true, and we know that it's the right alert, then we want to set our strategy variables whole green to false. So now we're automatically turning this on and off based off of these two alerts. And that is how you set up one particular confirmation or a piece of that confirmation so that you can add them up together, right? So the steps that we just did, we're now going to repeat them for multiple. And we're going to then combine all of these with our final rules to compare them against each other and decide when to trade. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this a little bit more quickly. I'm going to sort of speed through this to show you that it doesn't take that much time to do this, but I wanted to go in detail and show you how to do that at least once. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this in bulk. So I'm going to set up all my alerts together first. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our LSMA, and our LSMA has to cross our price, right? Up and down.
Well, that'll be the entry. So the other ones that I think we need to do are for a long, you want the price to be above the whole suite and above the LSMA. So I'm guessing those are the other alerts that you would need to set up, right?
Yeah. Yes. So we want the price crossing the LSMA and the whole suite.
Up above, like above,
We're
low appreciation.
Yeah, we're gonna track both, right? So again, so I am looking at particular points of data that we need. And so the 3 points that it sounds like we need are the whole suite color, the LSMA if it's above or below the price, and the whole suite if it's above or below the or rather, okay, so which one? I guess it really doesn't matter, but as we go forward, we need to make sure that we're talking the same language. Does the whole suite need to be above the price for a long or below the
Yeah.
price for a short?
So to be in a long, the price has to be above both the whole suite and the LSMA in the
Okay,
Dow.
okay.
All right.
So and the reason I asked that really isn't even because we're gonna do the rules later, right? But the reason I asked that is because I want to know how to phrase this as we go. And so it sounds like we want to know if the price is above or below something. We're looking at the price crossing something because you could look at the whole suite crossing the price. Okay, and I just want to do it in the way that makes sense for the strategy, how TraderIQ explains it and everything else. So we are we are looking for the price to cross one of the lines. Okay, so let's do that.
Or when the actual entry signal fires, you just want to make sure the price is above.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Okay, so we're going to take a look at our next alert. So all right, so let's set up our next alerts. The next one's going to be our price is above LSMA. Okay. And we'll set up our condition and our options here in a second, just like last time. Our type is going to be price above LSMA. Okay. So we'll have that there. And we'll select our time frame in that box. And then we'll copy this alert message. Actually, we're just going to do this all at once. So we'll set that up for our instructions. We'll just do those in a second. We'll come back to all of those. I'll do this in bulk. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Okay. So all we need to do is set up the name and we'll set up the type. Make sure our time frame is selected down here in the dropdown, and that's all we need to do for each of these. So I'm going to hit save, and we're going to keep going. So we're going to do price is below LSMA. Okay, and we'll do the same thing, price below LSMA. Okay, and we'll make sure our time frame. Select, hit save. Okay, and then we're going to do another one. It's going to be price is above whole. Sweet. And we'll name this price above whole. Sounds good to me. And we'll do time frame there. Okay, and then we'll do price is above or price is below, below whole suite. Okay. And we'll do price below whole. Okay. Select time frame. Looking good there. We'll hit save. And so now we have all of our alerts there. Do we need any other alerts?
One other thing would be money flow going up or money flow going down.
Yes. So to set up the money flow, we'll say money flow up. And we'll say money flow up. And we'll say money flow down. And money flow down. And sure. Keep it consistent. Okay. And make sure that this is selected there. Did I select it over here? I did not. Okay. So now I have money flow up and down, and that's good. So now we're going to create the variables for each of these. So I created 6 alerts, but really all we need is 3 variables. We need price, LSMA, price, whole suite, and money flow. So let's do that. We're going to make all of these true falses. I'm going to do these all at once. You can do this really quickly like that. And we're just going to say price above whole. Save it. Price below, or sorry, price above LSMA. Save it. And money flow. And I'm using tab on my keyboard to do that kind of quickly. And you can also double check these if you want them to say false. Need to fix that. Just a little annoying. Okay. So now we have all of our variables set up, and we have all of our alerts in TradeLab. We need to set them up in TradingView. So let's go to TradingView and hit the plus button. So another way that we can set up all these alerts very quickly is to go over to the alerts and hit alert instructions. So this lets you set up all the alerts viewing our alert instructions. If we go into whole suite red, you can see that we have our instructions in here, our conditions, and our options, right? So that would instruct us to set up our whole suite red, which we already did, but that would tell us what condition to select and what options to select, right? Then we can also click on our name and our message and copy those in. Okay, I'm showing you that here because I'm going to go to the next one and I have not set up my instructions, okay? But that's okay. I'm just going to set these up next. All right, so if you're doing this for yourself, if you're building a multiple confirmation strategy and you're not going to share it, you don't have to set this up, right? You can leave this blank. That's okay, right? So let's go ahead and, of course, copy our webhook as the first thing I always recommend doing. Even though it's going to be the same since I did it earlier, make sure that you do that. We'll select our name and we'll select our message. Now, this is going to be for the price above LSMA. So what I want to do is look at our price. I want it to cross up the LSMA. And that's how I would set that up. I would do once per bar. And I want to do crossing up. I don't want to do greater than or anything like that. I want to do crossing up. This is going to, yeah, this is only going to send it once. When we hear it, we're going to store that in our variable and we're going to know that it has crossed up and that it's above. And that's all we need to know. And then the next time we hear cross down, we'll know that it went below. We don't need to update it on every bar or anything like that. Makes it real simple. All right, so we'll hit create and we'll go to the next one. So we'll hit back and we'll hit this one and here we are. So we select our name, paste in our name, select our message, paste in our message. Remember to clear out the box. We don't want anything in the box and then paste in that message, okay? All right, so we're going to do the price again. We're going to do crossing down this time on the LSMA. So this is price below. And this is the price crossing down. Yep, so that makes sense. And once per bar close. So the price below LSMA. Sounds good. Press save and back. And we're going to do the whole suite now. So the price above whole suite. Okay. So the price is going to cross up on whole suite. We're going to paste in our name and paste in our message. Okay. Once per bar close. And the whole suite, we want to cross on the M hole or the S hole. I think the M, right?
I think so, yes.
We can check that by going to the data window. And the M hole is right here. And we can see that it is green and then it turns red. So that means it's the green and red line. And that's exactly what we want, the M hole. So I did that by going to the data window It's the fourth button from the top on the sidebar. And I looked at Hull Suite. This is all of the different lines and stuff at what they call plots inside of Hull Suite. And what I did was I ran my mouse over the chart, and you can see that this number is actually changing. And whenever a line color changes, so does this number. So that makes it really easy to sort of understand if something is made in a nice way on TradingView, like this whole suite is made really nicely. We can see what this is. So when I needed to understand what I'm crossing up, that came in handy, right? So that M haul, we're going to cross up the M haul. That looks good. Once per bar close, price above haul. We're good to go there. We'll hit create. Okay, and then we're going to go back, press back, and do price below Hull Suite. We'll select our name. We'll create a new alert. Price crossing down, Hull, M Hull, once per bar. Paste in the name and paste in the message. Okay, and that's all we need. Press create. So now we're going a little bit faster. Press back, money flow. Okay, money flow. Copy the name. Okay, we're gonna do our price. So here for money flow, I actually don't have market cipher, but I'm going to do what is that? Vu Manchu. And what I need B for A.
B, but I don't know if it has money tool on it.
It does. Yeah, it does. It's the same thing. So many people have redone this. Now, I'm not saying that it's exactly the same or that it produces the exact same results, but this will give me a good example to show people. And if you have Market Cipher and you've bought it for yourself, you're welcome to use that. Otherwise, you can use the free ones. Okay, so I'm going to create an alert, and I'm going to look at the VMC cipher, and we're going to do the crossing up. No, we're going to do moving up. We're going to do moving up, and for the plot, we want the money flow. Which one is it going to be? I think it's bar, top line, bottom line. Let's take a look here. So WT wave is what we're looking at. So I'm gonna go with WT wave 1. It looks like there's a light and a dark. If you wanted to go with a dark, you would select WT wave 2. Okay. But that is one way, and it looks like, of course you can hook this up to anything that you want, right? But we want to look for this blue wave right here, and that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so moving up, you can select anything that you want right here. So maybe moving up by, this is 1 out of 100 and it goes negative. So maybe moving it up by, 3 and 2 bars. That's totally up to you, right? What does this strategy call for? Do you know?
I added that later, so that wasn't a trading
Okay.
IQ.
So maybe something to play around with, right? But here
Yeah.
we have moving up, and we're going to do once per bar close once again. That's something that's just a preference, by the way. If you did want to do once per bar, you can. Most people find that this produces better results, but this isn't a hard and fast rule. Okay, so you can do it either way. And let's go ahead and set up our money flow alert. So we'll paste that in, and we'll grab our message, and we'll paste this in. Okay, and so now we're moving up, money flow up. We're looking good there. Hit create. We're going to do that one more time. Money flow down. Copy this. Lu Manchu. Moving down this time. The WT wave 1. You can set this up however you want. And then once proof close, paste in the alert name and paste in the message. All right, so that is all the grunt work out of the way for alerts. And we have one last thing to do, which was set up all of our rules, right? So we did our alerts, we did our variables, we set up our alerts in TradingView. And so now we just need to make sure that we have those alerts and variables connected. And to do that, once again, we're going to do our rules. So I'll grab this icon right here. We already did these top two, so I'm not going to do these. We're going to just do these last ones. So I'm going to grab this, drag it here, and do this 6 times. Okay. All right. And you can see it says rule created. And if we scroll down, we can see all of these were created for us. All right, so now we're going to set up our automation on these rules. So we'll just go into here and select strategy and symbol for the strategy trade settings, the symbol dropdown. We did that earlier. And we're going to do strategy variable time frame for the interval. So we're going to do this another 6 times. So we'll go into here, symbol and time frame. And let's show you a different way to do this. We could type in symbol and select it from the strategy trade setting and time frame and select it from the strategy variables. And there's actually 2 of them. Select the bottom one, I guess. No, I guess they both are combined storage. Okay, well, I'll fix that next time. All right, and so we're gonna go through these. Keep going. This one's gonna be simple time frame. All right, so now that we have those set up, we need to fill out our actions. So we set up our actions before as whole green, true, and false. We're going to do the same thing for each of our variables here. So we're going to add, and we're going to set, we're going to do strategy variables, and we're going to do price above LSMA, and we'll say true. Okay, and I'm double clicking to close that window. Right? So if I go strategy variables above LSMA, I double click to close and false. Same thing there. Okay, so now that's on and off. We're going to do the same thing with the whole suite. We're going to set strategy variables whole suite to on and strategy variables whole suite to off. Okay. All right, and now we're going to do money flow. So we'll say set strategy variables money flow to true. And actually, I didn't do a good job on that one, did I? Name it money flow up, so it makes sense, right? So I'll do money flow up to true, and do this again. Set money flow up to true. False. Oh, sorry, false. All right, so now that we have our 6 different, or actually 8 now. Now that we have our 6 or 8 different rules, they're all connected. Now we can actually start doing the multiple confirmation, right? So to do the multiple confirmation, we'll go up to rules and we'll say new entry rule. It'll add a rule at the bottom, and we can call this our, let's say, long entry. Right? And this is where we're going to do all of our magic. So to do a long entry, what conditions do we need?
With the price to be a whole suite above the SMA, and money flow to be moving up.
Okay. And we will want to set our strategy side to buy because we're going to do a long. So once again, strategy trade settings, we're setting this drop down right here inside of trade settings. And we're actually changing this from buy to sell and sell to buy. Okay. One second.
Wait a minute. Okay. So for when the long enters, you actually want the whole suite to be red. So that needs to be plus.
Okay. Okay.
It seems like it would be the opposite, but what they were doing in the strategy.
Cool. No worries. All right. So now, once we set our side to buy so that we're going to do a long, we'll do our add action one more time and we'll do place order. So that's actually going to place an order and we're ready to go there. Okay. So now we'll copy this and we'll do a short entry. Okay. And for this one, we want it to be green. Well, actually, hold on. So you want the price to be below the hole, or do you want the hole to be red?
So on the long entry, you want the whole to be red.
Okay, so we didn't add one for that. So let's add.
Oh, that's right, folks.
Yeah. So hole green, make that false. But we want the price to be above, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So same thing here. Hole green. So this one's going to be true, and these are all going to be false.
Yeah.
We're going to set this to sell and place order. So we're ready to go there. Now, these will only track the variables when they're running. And they'll only run as blue rules while they're not in a trade. So because these are the type of conditionals that we want to track and keep status of the whole time, we're going to have to select all of these and then go to rules and hit copy other side. And that's going to create all the same things, but just over on the orange side. And we don't need to edit anything. All we're trying to do is set those variables, right? And we just want to make sure that they get set on both sides. TradeLab is very specific about having two separate sets of logic so that you can do separate types of things when you're entering or exiting a trade. So here we just want to copy it, right? And so we made it easy for you. Once again, I use the control on my keyboard. I highlighted all these rules, and then I went up to rules and I hit copy to other side, and that went over. Okay. So that's all we need to do there. Pretty simple. And now for our exit rules, do we want to do just basically the opposite of these, or how do we want to exit?
What I would like to do is set the stop loss to.
Okay, so we're going to rely on TPSL, and we're not going to have specific alerts for exiting.
Right.
Okay, no problem there. All right, so then we're good to go. Even though we don't have any alerts for exiting, we still are going to copy these because once again, we want them to track, while it's in a trade. That way, when it's going to look for its next trade, we know that it's all synced up and ready to go. Okay. So we're going to now talk about TPSL and how we set this up. So you said that the TPSL is being given to you by the high, low stuff.
So this is, I found this indicator and that's what I was going to hope to use for my stop loss. So like I had, so I opened it up, like shut off there's SH extension, SL extension. I shut those off and just left the regular SH line, which in red. So I guess the support high and the support low, I just left those on. So if we get our long entry, I would like the stop loss to be placed at the support level, which is the blue dotted line.
Okay.
That's what I was wondering if it was possible.
Yes, it is possible. The one question, why are there two sometimes?
If you click on the indicator of the settings, swing, so go style, you have to shut off their extension ones. And then the lines is also something different here.
Okay. So
There may be a better swing high, swing low indicator. That's the first one I found that like printed the way I was hoping I could use it.
okay. So we could definitely do this. It's a question of what is the most efficient way to do this. And efficient means sending the least amount of alerts.
Right.
Being that this is a 1 minute time frame, we could send an alert every bar, and we may have to. However, I have an idea just based on well, it doesn't quite work apparently. I just noticed a case where it doesn't. It doesn't fit. Okay. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to, because what I'm seeing on my chart here is that the line, the price always hits the dots, and when it hits the dots, that's usually when the dots change. But it's not exactly always the case. And so, uh, that being the case, I need to. Right, dude. I guess we gotta send it every bar. So to do that, we will create another alert. This one is going to be your support highs lows. Okay, and then for this one, I'm actually going to create a new template. It's going to have a different webhook because this one I'm going to add. This one I'm going to add What am I going to add for this one? Support high and support low, and I guess this one needs an interval as well. I guess it could be one. Doesn't hurt to have it. So this is going to be support, and I'm going to have the high and the low. We'll name them support high and support low, so it's nice. Okay. And so here's how we're going to do this. We're going to make these numbers. We're going to check the dynamic box, and then we're going to do a TV plot number. Okay, we could do TV plot name, but I found that this way is better. It's not as hit and miss. Oh wow. And yeah, and I say that, and at the exact same time as I say that, I'm proven wrong. What? So like, does it actually change? Whoa. I never knew this. So does it change the number of the plots then? Whoa. Okay.
And
I think I think this might be why some people had problems at some point. I totally didn't know this. I've always counted, but maybe you can't rely on counting if people are hiding stuff. Interesting. Anyway, so let's set this up as plot numbers, and let's just I would recommend checking all of everything on the style,
okay.
so that we can see everything. And I'm gonna have to do some investigation as to what the consequences of all this is. But we're going to target the plot numbers, and the way that we do that is we go to the data window and we select um, sorry, we go to the sidebar and we select the fourth button from the top. That's the data window, and we look at swing. So swing is what we're looking at. And if we look at the list down below it, these are all the plots. If we say SH and SL, that's what we want to target. So if we start counting from 0, this would be plot 0, this would be plot 1, this would be plot 2, this would be plot 3. So we want plot 1 and we want plot 3. Okay, so if we go back, we want plot 1 and we want plot 3. It's as simple as that. That's how you connect something from TradingView to an alert, and that's going to give us a live number over into here whenever we send our alert. Okay, so now let's set up our alert. Remember, we definitely have to get a new webhook because I created a new template, so make sure that webhook is saved in there. And we're going to do swing. So this one, we want to make sure that the SH, actually, what we want to do here, we want to send it all the time. And so what I usually do for that is I say like, greater than, and if we look at the data window, these are prices, right? So they're always going to be greater than 0. We just say greater than 0, it'll always send. And then we'll just say once per bar close, right? And then we'll get this for every buck. Okay, and so we'll go back to here and we'll copy our message and we'll make this support. And we don't need 2 of these. Or actually we do. We need one for the high and for the low. Well, no, we don't. No, we don't. We don't need 2 of these because even though we're checking our condition for support high, is always going to be greater than 0, and we're always going to run this. And this allows us to send the plots for both and we can only send plots from the data window of the indicator that we have selected in the top condition, right? So earlier we were doing our comparison off of the price. Okay, you remember when we set up our earlier alerts? Go into the alerts and look. All these are set up with the price at the top. I could not use plots in these messages here. Luckily, we didn't have to, and we don't care. But if we needed to, I would have had to swap these and say the whole M suite, crossing M whole and do the price. Actually, you can't do the price down here. Or we can do the value. You can't do the price. Weird. I wonder if it still sends the plots if you do. Interesting. I've never actually come into a situation where that was an issue, but yeah. Okay. So just keep that in mind that you can get the plots and the data from whatever you have selected at the top condition. And so for our support, we selected swing, and we can send plot 1 and plot 3, which we saw here was the SH and SL. And so now those are sending. Okay, so we'll hit save. We're good to go there. And we'll hit save on this. And that should give us everything that we need. All right, so we have our support highs and lows, and it's going to send our support high and low there. So now what we need to do is connect that to our take profit and stop loss. And we can do that in a couple different ways. First, we should create our take profit and stop loss. So if we go to our lines panel, we'll hit the plus button and we'll create a take profit. We'll just create one for right now. We can come back. We need multiple. And right now we're going to do, right now we're going to do exact price. Okay. So we're going to select USD exact price for the price type. We're going to leave the price as 0. And we're going to leave this as undynamic. Normally, we would select dynamic so that we could connect it to our alert. However, we're actually going to be only using one stop line and one take line for both short for both short and longs. I don't want to create two different ones. It's just messy. And so we have a different dynamic variables for those. And so instead of setting it up dynamically like that here, we're actually just going to use rules, and we're going to set two different values for this, depending on if we're long or short. Okay, so we'll look at that here in a second. We'll hit next. What do you want to do when the line is hit? We'll hit close position. We can change that if we need to. And what type of order do we want to place? For takes, I usually do limit. And then we'll name this take line. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for the stop. We'll do USD exact price, leave it at 0, leave it at not dynamic, no trailing, close position. Well, I make mine stops market most of the time. You can change that if you want. And then we have all of our take and stop set up. Okay, so we hit save, and that's going to set that up for us. So now we need to fill this in with our support information. So what we'll do is we'll create one more variable. Will it be one more or two more? We'll do two more. Okay, so yeah. So we'll do we'll do number. So we want to create two numbers, and we'll do a support high and support low. Okay. And both of these can be left to 0 for now. All right. All right. So now that we have those, we need to create a alert or a rule for our alert. So if we go to our alerts and drag this out again, we can get our support highs and lows rule. And for these, we actually don't need these two as conditions. We just want to listen for our support. We want to make sure that our symbol is matched automatically, as well as our interval is matched automatically. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set both of our lines. So we're going to do set strategy lines. We'll do our take line, and we'll do price. And here's what's going to be interesting. We're actually going to have to do this based upon. No, actually, okay, I'm sorry. We're going to set our strategy variable. We're going to set our support high, and we're also going to set our strategy variable for support low. Okay. So we'll set the high to custom alert support high and the low to custom alert support low. So now both of these are filled and they'll get filled every minute. Okay. And we want this rule to run before our entry rule. So I'm going to click on this and move these down and move this up. Maybe it's not. Okay. It'll move down. Okay. Yeah, something with the brute. Okay. All right, so I moved this up above the entry rules, and that'll make sure that this runs and sets our variables before our entry rules run. Because in our entry rules, we're going to add new actions, and we're going to set our strategy lines, stop line, and actually we want to set our stop line, our price, right? So we want to set strategy line, stop line, our price to our strategy variables, and for a long, that would be our support low. And for a short, for our take profit for a long, we want to do take line price. We would want to look at our strategy variables support high. Okay, and I can move these above the place order. Just that's more for make it look nice, really. These do run in order, but place order will always happen at the end, no matter what you do. So even if I were to leave this in the middle, I'm always going to place an order at the very end. But otherwise, if you were doing math or anything like that with these actions, they do run in order. Okay, so that is something to keep in mind. We're going to set our stop line and our take line price. And for the short, the strategy lines is going to be, strategy variable for the short stop line is going to be support high, and it's going to be support low for the take line. Okay. And that is it. That is how we set that up.
We want the take line to be 4 times the risk.
Okay. So in order to make this 4 times the size, for a risk ratio, we want it to be a 4 to 1. So we want our take profit to be 4 times the size as our stop loss. And really, we're only going to be setting our stop loss based on the support high or support low. So then we need to take that and multiply it by 4. Now, the support high and low, we're going to come in as prices, the real price. So like 19,000, whatever. What we need to know is what the distance is for that support line versus our current price. That distance is then what's going to be multiplied by 4. So in order to do that, and multiply that and do that math, I'm going to need to have a variable so that I can store a little bit of temporary information. Okay, so um, I'm going to name this temp math. I do this a lot. Temp math. Okay, you can name it whatever you want, and I'm going to hit save. Now I have temp math, and it's a number. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with our long, and we know that our stop line should be at support low. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to set my temp mat to the current price. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my temp mat to the trade current price. Okay. And that's going to set it to 19,000, whatever. Okay. And then I'm going to subtract my temp mat by my strategy variables support low. Okay. By the same thing as my stop line. Okay. And I'm going to move this take line now. I'm going to move this down. Oh, okay. I see. Oh, why is it doing that? So yeah, so I'm gonna move this down below here. Okay, and do that. And actually, I'm gonna move the place order at the bottom as well. Okay. All right. So now that we have our we're subtracting our support low, and now what we want to do is have our temp mass equal our price, and we want to multiply our price. I think I could have done this without a variable. I thought I was going to need a pivot variable, but I don't think I actually did. That's okay. Take line, price, and we're going to multiply this by 4. Or no, that's why I needed it. That's why I needed it. So, yeah. So, I'm not done yet. I need to... Math is always a little hard. Bear with me. We're going to subtract our support low, our temp mat, our support low. So this is my temp max is a current price. This is going to be above. This is going to give me a whole number. I'm going to multiply that by 4, and then I'm going to take that and I'm going to add it to the entry price. So now I'm going to set my price of my take line to the trade current price. And then I'm going to add to my take line price the temp mat, right? So once again, what I've done is I've set the stop line price to the support low. Then I create a temp mat variable and I set it to the current price. I subtract the current price from the support low, or sorry, I subtract the support low from the current price. And that gives me the difference between the support low and the current price. It's a positive number. I multiply that by 4, and then I take that and I add that to the current price, which gives me 4 times the size of the stop. But instead of being below, it's now above. And then I say, I add that to the price, and we're good to go. So I have the current price. I add my extra math that I did the 4 times to the current price, and that equals my take line price. And then we place an order, right? So now we'll do the same thing. And we could redo this, or we could just copy it. I think I'll just delete this and copy this below. We'll do short enter or short entry. This needs to be the opposite. So false, 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 true. This needs to be sell. Okay, this needs to be support high. Current price. Okay, we're gonna do track support high. So support high is now gonna be above this. So we're going to have to set this to support high. Or actually the strategy variable is support high. And we're gonna subtract it by the current price. So we're just flip-flopping that, right? And then we're going to multiply that. It's still a positive number because I just flip-flopped that. And then we're going to subtract this. The price, we set it to the current price, then we subtract the take line price by our 10 maths. That is 4 times as big, and that's it. And should be it. Yes, so that is going to set up our lines. Our lines will place as soon as our order enters. We have our entry price. And it's going to set the lines directly based off of the support high number that we got, or support low, and do some math off of that. All right. So you have any questions?
Now you still need your entry signal, right? I'm there. I'm definitely gonna have to watch this again, but like it's crazy. Like often they used to do all this.
Yeah.
And
So
it would be LSMA crossing the whole suite up or down.
okay, so what we have currently set up is a conditional strategy that can sort of confirm multiple different confirmations, and whenever they all line up in any order, then it fires. Okay, so we could get our price crossing LSMA first, and money flow wasn't moving up. And then when money flow moves up and everything else is what we need it to be, then money flow is actually the last alert that fires that makes the trade. That's what we have set up right now. If that's not what you want, we can change that.
Okay. Let me think for a second, because listen, a lot are taken. So the per the trader IQ thing, the entry signal would be the LSMA crossing the whole suite up.
Okay.
And then all the rest would be confirmations to confirm that. Well, yeah, everything else would be to confirm the trade actually be taken.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And so to change that, all we have to do is go to add conditions for a long entry, and we'll look for our custom alerts type. And we want this to be whatever we had up here, which was price below and price above. So we want price above LSMA. So we would just type up right up here, price above LSMA. And I'm not selecting a variable. I'm just typing price above LSMA and I'm hitting enter. You'll notice that it doesn't have any variable or anything right here. It's just, and that's what I typed into my alert, right? So that's why I'm typing that in, because that's what I typed into the type for my alert, right? So now this is not just running all the time and checking the variables. This will only run if I have my LSMA alert come in for above, price above LSMA. Okay, so when that comes in, we are going to check everything. We don't actually need to check price above LSMA. It's kind of redundant now, so we can remove that. And so now we have our price above LSMA and we check the rest of them and then we do all of our math. Okay, we can do the same thing over here. So we want to check our type and we want this to be price below LSMA. Okay, and then we would say remove that one, and that's it.
I think you froze for a second. I missed further what you said.
Okay. What part? So basically
There's
what I just did is I set up the type as a condition in here for price above LSMA and price below LSMA, right? And that type is the same as our custom alert type, right? So I have my price above LSMA.
But is it only going to enter on a new cross of the LSMA above all sweep or below? Or is it going to error all that stuff is true regardless of if it's a new crossing?
It's only going to on the cross. So this rule used to fire all the time, and it was just checking the variables, and it fired not when not on a specific alert, but anytime, right? But now this rule is only going to fire on the specific alert above price above LSMA, and that alert right here is right here, and inside of here I have type, and it says price above LSMA. And so that's why it says type equals price above LSMA. And I did that by just coming in here and doing price above LSMA. Now, I'm not selecting these as my variables. I have a variable that happens to be the same name. It's not a big deal. What I want to do is do a hard-coded string, just like I typed into my type over there. So I'm typing that into the box, and if I hit enter, it puts that in. Okay. And if I were to have selected a variable like the LSMA like this, you would see the label right here, but that's not what we want. We just want it by itself. So price above LSMA. So I did that for here, and I also did that for the type for short entry. And so now these will only fire when that alert fired.
Okay. Cool. That's great.
So that is how we set up that. And it was a lot of information. That was only maybe about 35 minutes. Um, and that was a lot of me talking, right? This would probably take me about 10-15 minutes to set up maybe and double check, Um, so it's a little bit of work, but there's a lot of flexibility here, right? You can do whatever it is that you need, and you know if that's too much for you, then that's why we create these templates. And I'm now going to go ahead and share these templates. So if I go to the share button over here, I can name this a particular name. So if I was trading with this and I wanted to name it Jake's Awesome Strategy, and so I could look at that, privately myself and be proud of myself, I could do that. If I wanted to name it like, BTC something that tells me what's going on, I could do that. And then if I wanted to share it, I could change the share name, right? So the private name would be in here in the name and trade settings. And then the name that everybody sees would be the share name right here. If you don't fill this out, then everyone will see the name that you had, right? So you can do that, and then you can hit allow copy, and that's going to allow people to copy this, and it'll show up inside of the um, uh, community browser. Okay, so we'll hit save, and we'll go to community browser, and we can now see the TraderIQ 1 minute scalping is right there under most recent. All right. All right. So, did you have any other questions? Anything else you want to go over?
No, like that's what I wanted to learn how to do. That like I definitely want to go through. Like I'm glad we have a template. I want to figure out how to do that myself too. It's I'm very very impressed. You're like a wizard with this stuff. There.
Yeah, no problem. It's a learning curve, but I have seen multiple dozens of people now come through here and look at this and go, man, this looks amazing, and get really excited and be like, oh, I can't wait. And then they sit down and they go, oh God, this is so like, how do I do this? And they get, it's like, oh man, this is cool, but I don't know how, and then I usually, it usually takes me sitting down and showing someone. Sometimes they can watch the videos, right? And that helps, but sometimes I gotta sit down and just like answer direct questions and really fill in those gaps. And at some point, you can always, and I haven't seen it happen for you yet. And sometimes it happens behind closed doors and I don't see it, right? But then I'll talk to somebody later and all of a sudden, like, I know that it clicked. You know what I mean? But I've seen it happen before my eyes where I'll be showing it, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, they get it. And they're like, oh, so I can do this then. And that means I just got to come over here. I click this, boom, boom, boom. And then I made that. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. And so at some point it'll click, and
Yeah. Well, I'm not there yet, but I will get there. I'm bound and determined. I just think it's amazing, like all the different things you can actually do with TradeLab. It's impressive. But yeah,
good deal.
but like the fact that you are willing to do this and like explain it in detail, and you're really really patient too. Like it's pretty awesome. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to take a second to close this out. So, all right. So that's going to wrap up the TraderIQ strategy building tutorial. I am going to make a quick tutorial on how to set this up as a template. This gave me a great example of how to set up multiple confirmations, how to set up variables as settings, and how to also do a little bit of math so that we could take some information directly from TradingView, put that into our dynamic alerts, and then multiply it a little bit to get a different number. Right. So this was a great example of all of those techniques. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave us a like, subscribe for more updates, and watch out for more videos. Appreciate it, and catch you next time.